Hi guys, it's Jess here again, and I wanted to just share something else that whenever the Lord prompts me to share, I do, and I don't always know what that's going to look like, but I have a little idea. Otherwise, I would have thought about it a little more before I started this video. So, this past Sunday, we had the opportunity to meet as a church physically for the first time in 7 months, I think, or almost 7 months. And so I was pretty excited to be able to be part of the worship team this past Sunday. And up until now, we were doing live services online, but not with people. So we would record them, pre-record them, and then do live ones. But there was no one in the congregation to physically lead into the presence of God. So got to do that this Sunday, and I have to tell you, like this past Sunday, that it was so good for my soul, and I'm sure for many others who were there. It was a lot of protocols, but we got through it, and we were able to be together in that setting again. And it was such like a refueling for my complete being to know that that's still there. You know, even if we lose it again, it's still there. I didn't realize how much I depended on that every week to be able to do life. Sometimes you don't realize how much you miss things until they're gone. And so that was a gift for me this past Sunday. And Lord willing, I get to lead again this coming Sunday with a different team, and looking forward to that as well. On Sunday, the message was really, really close to home for me, and that's why I want to share this, because as I was sitting listening to the story, several stories in the Gospels, in the first four books of the New Testament, is the life of Jesus and his ministry and his healings and his preaching, and just there's so much about who he is and what he is to us and for us as Christians. And there's one story, and everybody relates differently, I think, to different characters of the Bible. Some people relate to Jonah, and the Lord's calling them to do something, and they really just don't want to do it. And so the Lord, I don't know that anybody's been thrown into the belly of a whale, but I can say that there are probably some people who the Lord has been firm with, and not let them just run away from what he's called them to do, even if it's uncomfortable. Some of us can relate to Noah and, following the Lord, even though it looks crazy to everybody else, because it's just completely countercultural. And then some of us can identify with Abraham and having to lay things down on the altar, things that we love, with no promise that we get to keep it, and choosing the Lord first. For me, I identify with the bleeding woman, and I know that sounds strange probably. You're like, why, just the bleeding woman? There was a woman in the Bible, and this was shared on Sunday as well, who was subject to bleeding for 12 years. She looked for someone to heal her. Doctors, no one could heal her. And she was desperate. She was considered unclean, so she wasn't allowed to be around other people. She was just alone, and had this ailment that nobody could help her with. Nobody could heal her. Nobody could stop her suffering. And so she had the faith that she this Jesus, if she could maybe even just touch him, like just touch the hem of his garment, then maybe she could be healed. And I relate to that story for several reasons. One, because when I was a child, I don't know how to put this. I thought I was sick all the time. If you follow my YouTube channel, you know that I share a little bit of my journey about childhood sexual abuse. And at the time, I didn't realize that I was being sexually abused. and I just knew there was something wrong with me and I needed help. And so I was taken to doctor after doctor after doctor, and nobody could help me. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. And the reason why is because the one who was taking me to all these doctors was actually, causing it. So that was really tricky for me, and I grew up believing that there's something wrong with me beyond that I'm physically sick. And I did need help, and I couldn't find anyone to help me. And so I really identify with the bleeding woman in the sense that, no, I'm not bleeding for 12 years, but I do know the shame of feeling unclean and feeling like I can't, make connections with people without feeling like I don't fit and belong, because the shame, right? And also that feeling of what's wrong with me, and going from doctor to doctor to doctor. And no one could heal me. No one could help me. And it's because they couldn't identify what the issue was. And so I identify with her so much. And also because as a child even, I knew a little bit about Jesus. And my uncle Glenn taught me about Jesus. He told me about him. But then the seed was planted, but then and nothing ever came of it because I was still in the same environment. And I guess I wasn't really ready to hear that Jesus could heal me. And so I've dedicated my life to a healing process of trying to let the Lord into that process, let Him lead that process completely. And it's all been about trying to get to Jesus and thinking, maybe He can heal me. And on Sunday, the service was talking about Jesus being healer. And the last few weeks, I've been singing a song about Jesus being our healer. But I also, a couple years, wrote a song about the bleeding woman because I so identified with the struggle of just being beyond help, not having any help, and always knowing, if I could just touch Him, I know He could heal me, and having that faith to say, you alone are my healer, Lord. And another thing to add too is that, finding that balance between what we can do to help and do our part and to help the healing process, and not be like, oh Lord, you just do it and just kind of lie here and just wait, right? That's what I've struggled with in my balance, is how much do I do and how much do I let the Lord do? And the flip side is true. We can't just heal ourselves. We really do need a healer. And that's, I think, what this story is about, is that the struggle of fighting so hard to do whatever you can to try to get help and to heal, and not being able to find what it is that you need, and ultimately coming to the place where you realize that Jesus is the healer. The Lord is the one who can snap His fingers and everything can be gone. He's the one who snapped His fingers and everything appeared. Like that, He has the power to heal. He is the healer. And so that's what the message was about Sunday, and that's kind of why I feel like I want to share this song now, because it's so close to my heart. And I'm going to read this story. The text, you can find the story in many of the Gospels. I'm reading from, you can find it at Mark 5:25, Luke 8:43, Matthew 9:20. I'm reading from Luke because it's my favorite, sort of the way that it's worded. And I also use these words in my song. So the song is just a story. It's just simply just that verse. It's just these few verses that talk about the story of the bleeding woman. And so this is how it goes. As Jesus was on His way, the crowds almost crushed Him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind Him and touched the edge of His cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." I love that story also because she wanted to go unnoticed. She didn't want anybody to see her. And that's how a lot of times shame presents itself too, right? It's like, I'm not allowed to be here, I'm unclean. And anybody who's been sexually abused knows what it feels like, that stain that's on you that you feel like you can't get off you. And it's a shame that Jesus came to heal us from. And a shame that is often misunderstood in Christian circles too. Well, Jesus just makes you clean, and he does. He does. But sometimes you just need him to touch you. Sometimes you just need to touch him. And so what I love about this story is that she tried to touch him incognito, and he's like, "No, everyone stop. Power has gone out from me. I know when power has gone out from me, somebody touched me, and I want to see who it was." And that's what blesses me so much too about the Lord and Jesus, is that this is a woman that nobody wanted to be around. A woman that more than likely had a lot of shame, and she probably didn't love herself very much. But a woman who he saw, a woman that he noticed, a woman that he stopped everything to turn around and look for. He wouldn't let her go unnoticed. And that's the one thing in this story I think that sticks out the most for me, is that there's a lot of us out there who feel like no one cares about us, or we're not noticed, or we don't matter. And that's a pain of a lot of people's hearts. But what I learned about Jesus in this story is not only that he's the healer, but also that he won't let us go unnoticed. If we look for him and we seek and we want to touch him so that he can heal us, he sees us in that. That gets me. So this song, I usually have my words up here when I sing just in case I forget them, but I don't right now. I'm going to do this by heart, so I hope I don't mess up. I'm going to sing a little bit of that song Healer that I've been singing that I did not write. Incorporate it with my song here because it's a similar chord progression. Hope you like it. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can make out the words. And it's called "It Was Me," and it's a story about a girl who has to bow down and confess, it was me. It was me that touched you, Jesus. It was me. And it's just the story of the bleeding woman. So hope you like it. The crowds nearly crushed him when he was on touch him, I know he'll heal me. And he said, daughter, your faith has healed you. Walk away free now, go in I can't go unnoticed, 'cause he won't let me. So trembling I fall down and I confess, Lord, it was me. I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all I need. I believe you're my portion, and I believe you're more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. You hold my every moment. You calm my raging sea. You walk with me through fire and heal all my disease. I trust in you, Lord, I trust in you. I believe you're my healer, and I believe you are all I need. I believe you're my portion. I believe you're more than enough for me. Jesus, you're all I need. So the first song was It Was Me. And I wrote that about the bleeding woman in the Bible because I feel like her in many ways and I identify with her the most. I don't know who you identify with in the Bible, but that's mine. The second song is called Healer, and it's been recorded by many people, Gary Joe Hillsong, and I don't know if I have the name of the man who wrote it, but I do not own the rights to that song. But it just seemed to, it's the song I've been singing the last few weeks, just to remind myself who the healer is when I start to, you know, try to put it all in my own hands too much. And it just seemed to really work together, the two songs. The chord progressions are very similar. It's in the same key. So I hope you like that little compilation. And I'm going to work at the Belleville thrift store today. My kids go to the Belleville Christian School, like I said, I shared that video, that journey, a few days ago, and you can catch that on YouTube as well, with a song called Altar Song. And thanks for watching today and for listening, taking the time out to just hear me just babble and talk and share my journey with the Lord. And I hope and pray that your day was somewhat touched, blessed, and inspired a little bit by the Word of God and by the songs that come from that in my journey. So bless you today, and I hope and pray that you have a great day, and come on down to the Belleville thrift store and see me today. Take care. Bye-bye.